Hi students, in this video we are going to discuss about hardware software code design and program modeling, embedded firmware design and development. First we will see about hardware software code design and program modeling. There are few steps involved in hardware software code design. In the first step, the requirements need to be collected from the customer and these requirements need to be converted into system level needs or processing requirements. And in the second step, this system level processing requirements need to be transferred into functions, and all the functions should be simulated and tested against the performance and functionality of the system. Then in the third step, the system level processing requirements must be divided into hardware and software requirement. So each system level processing requirement must be mapped with either hardware or software requirement. Next, computational models in embedded designs. There are 5 models used in embedded design: data flow graph, that's DFG model, and CDFG model, state machine model, sequential program model, and concurrent or communicating process model. The first one, DFG model. In the DFG model, this it translates the data processing requirements into data flow graph. Actually, this model is a data driven model, so here the execution of the program is determined by the data. Second one, control data flow graph or diagram model, CDFG model. This CDFG model also translates the program processing requirements, data processing requirements into data flow graph, and but here the execution is based on the condition. This CDFG model is having both data flow execution as well as conditional execution. So it is having both the nodes, data flow node as well as decision node. Here this CDFG, it uses data flow graph as element and condition as decision maker. So both the nodes are available, data flow node as well as decision node. But in the data flow graph, we have only data flow node. Third one is state machine. Uh, in state machine, the state machine model, it describes the system behavior using states, events, actions, and transitions. State represents the current situation. Event is the input to the state, and this event acts as the stimuli for the state transition. State transition is movement from one state to another state. Action is the activity performed by the state machine. Fourth one is sequential program model. Here the processing requirements will be done in sequence. Then in concurrent or communicating process model, here the task or a process can be performed concurrently. The next one is embedded firmware design and development. Under this, we are going to see about embedded firmware design approaches and embedded firmware development languages. First one, design approaches. There are two types of approaches: conventional procedural based firmware design and embedded operating system based design. First one, conventional procedural based firmware design. It is also called super loop design. Super loop based approach, it is actually suitable for the applications which are not time critical, means where the response time is not so important. And here the task listed on the top of the program will be executed first, and the below the top of the program will be executed next. You can see here the implementation for first we have to complete the configuration part, then we have to start the first task, then we have to go to the second start, then third task, like that till the last task. So again, if the loop repeats, we have to go to the first task and we have to complete it. You can see here, first one is configuration, Then inside the loop, task 1 is completed first, then task 2, at last task n. Again, if loop repeats, then we will do task 1, task 2 till task n. Second one is embedded operating system based approach. So this is suitable for the time critical applications where the time response time is important. Here we have two types, real-time operating system and a customized general purpose operating system. This real-time operating system is required for critical time applications, and general purpose operating system, it can use where the response time is uh, having little bit criticalness. Then GPOS, it is example for general purpose operating system is Microsoft and Windows XP, and example for real-time operating system is Windows CE, Windows Mobile, QNX, VxWorks, ThreadX, Micro COS 2, Embedded Linux, etc. Next, we have embedded firmware development language. The embedded firmware can be developed by using either assembly language or high-level language. Assembly language based development. Assembly language is a human readable notation of machine language. So the program written in the assembly language must be converted into machine language. For this we can use the assembler. And this machine language is a binary representation and it consists of only ones and zeros. So all the machine assembly codes need to be converted to machine code by using assembler. This machine language is the interface between the processor and programmer. The general format of assembly language instruction is opcode followed by operand. Then we can write the command also. You can see here first label. Label is an identifier used for remembering where the code is located. Means nothing but it's an address. So opcode followed by operand. Opcode is nothing but operation code. Operand, every instruction will be having operand, opcode and operands. So opcode operands need to be identified for the instruction. It may be immediate data or register anything. Commands, if you want to write, we can write the command or we can neglect that. So one simple program to perform addition of two 16-bit numbers without carry. So first we have to write the algorithm. In algorithm we will write step by step. First we have to load the data 1 from memory to register AX. Then we are loading second data from memory to register BX. Then we are adding both AX and BX content. Now we are storing the result again in the memory. For this we have to write the instruction. First move AX, 2050. 2050 is the first 16-bit data, that is moved to AX register. So after the execution AX is equal to 2050. Second instruction, we are moving second data to BX register. Move BX, 2052. This is the data 2, 16-bit data 2. Now we are adding. So the instruction is add AX, BX. So content of AX and BX will be added together and the result will be stored in AX register. So because this is the destination register. Now the AX is 4082, the addition result. Now we have to store the result in memory. For that, what is the instruction? Move square bracket of 2050, AX. Because the result is in AX, so the data from AX is stored in this memory. So anything written inside the square bracket, that is called memory. So after that we can end the program by writing HLT, halt. We have many advantages with the assembly language. Efficient code memory and data memory usage. We have high performance, low level hardware access. We have some disadvantages also. High development time, developer dependency, because it is totally dependent on the developer. Based on their own knowledge on the processor or controller instruction, they will write the code. So it is a little bit difficult for the second user to identify or understand. Then it is not portable and needs thorough knowledge on the processors and the controllers instructions. High level language based development. So we have seen many disadvantages in assembly language, no? So to overcome the disadvantage of assembly language, we can move to the high level language. We can use any language like C or C++. So the program written in Program written in high-level language also must be converted into machine code. For that, we can use cross compiler. So this cross compiler converts a high-level language into machine code. Here the advantages are we have reduced development time, developer dependency, portability. Disadvantages: more investment required. Some cross compilers are not efficient. Okay. Thank you.